Hello and welcome to Saddle Up with Steve and Jay. Another big weekend this weekend, Jay. We've got really the best horses really in the country, unless these 3-year-olds are as good, and they may be because they're pretty doggone good 3-year-olds. But we got a big race this weekend at Saratoga, and let me, without any further hesitation, let me bring in my longtime colleague Jay Friedlander. Jay, big day coming up on Saturday with the Whitney. Should be a wonderful, wonderful race. It looks to me, unfortunately, with Jose Gomez listed on Mindframe, like he's really very unlikely to run. When they put a jock like that on that type of horse, they're telling you that he's going to scratch. But still should be a fantastic race, top to bottom, and a really nice field of horses running for $1 million.
Yeah, hey Steve, glad to be here on Saddle Up with you, and once again, as usual, on Horse Racing World Channel. And yeah, it's there's a pretty good card at Del Mar, and of course, beautiful weather. But at Saratoga, it is just a card to be reckoned with. I mean, not only do we have the Whitney, which will at least have two of the big three, and like you say, maybe not Mindframe, but we've also got the Grade One Test. We have the Grade One Saratoga Derby Invitational. And we have the grade one four-star Dave. So we are jam-packed. That Saratoga card is the one to watch this weekend, Steve.
It certainly is. It certainly is, Jay. Couple decent races at Del Mar. And I believe you're going to have a race, Jay, from Saratoga and from Del Mar. Is that correct on the Saturday card?
That's right, Steve. The usual daily double for me.
All right. And I'm going to go with one from Del Mar on the Saturday card this time instead of on the Friday card. Jay, before we get to our race, our normal race, which is going to be the Whitney, we're going to run down horse by horse like we normally do. I want to talk a little bit about the big news at Del Mar, and thank goodness. But Del Mar has announced that the computer bettors are going to be they're betting for them is going to be cut off the final 2 minutes. I did notice that there weren't any crazy patterns today. There were a lot of crazy long shots today. Payouts were off the charts today. Some huge payouts, including one lucky ticket. And the only horse that was live, Jay, in the pick five, the only horse that was live in the pick five won the last race
Hmm.
for, I believe it was a $500,000. So
Whoa.
congratulations to that fan. That was an amazing hit. Pick six, 4 out of 6 was the best anybody could do. So this gentleman played only 5, singling the last race, which was a price horse, and he got more than anybody that played the pick six, which is a pretty cool accomplishment for that gentleman. A little feather in his cap. But we've had some nice price horses win, and Jay, for one day in, and again, this delay, this where these computer bettors are going to be delayed for a couple of minutes, it's going to take a little while. I think, Jay, it's going to take a little while for us to really know what this means for you and me. You and I like to play these races every day. And I don't care who you are, you just can't be happy betting a horse that's 35 to 1 when they open the gate and crosses the line at 18 to 1, which is what happened in the Bing Crosby. And there was another huge bet down on the same card. And hopefully, Josh Rubenstein has got the message. And we're going to thank, perhaps it was John Lindo. You pointed it out to me, and I actually sent a text to John this week congratulating him and saying thank you, because things need to be done, and we all need to work together. And the fact that this is perhaps getting done, and you and I are going to be able to jump into these pools again. And again, after one day, I'm going to keep my eyes open. I'm not sure that we can report enough after one day, but I can promise you, folks, I will be keeping my eyes out. And next week, I'll give you an update. And if we need updates every week until we figure this thing out. But I think this is a huge step in the right direction. And I think there's another step that needs to be made. But Jay, I really want your take on this, because you've been following this just as carefully and for as long as I have been.
Steve, it just makes some of these races unplayable and discouraging. There's no question that these bets are getting placed at best at the very last minute. I know you have suspicions that it might be even a little beyond that very last minute. Who knows what the world of computer programming and AI and hacking and all that stuff can do? It's probably above my pay grade. But there's no question that if you put a halt to the computer wagering a couple of minutes before, even a minute before, when they had a scandal before, I'd say a minute would probably be enough. I think this is something that will start to bring the small bettors back over time. There's a lot more small bettors than there are large bettors, but it's going to take a while to regain that trust. And this is the first step in doing that. So this is a big positive going forward.
Yeah, well, I was really keeping my eyes on every race today, Jay, and it's not enough of a sample. There's no question about it. And I'm realizing that it's going to be a while before we can be sure. There's another little bit of an issue right now. You know, we had John White, and a lot of people really took John White for granted. We had John White for years doing the morning line at Santa Anita. Then he was working at Del Mar doing the Del Mar morning line as well. And you know what, Jay, he was fabulous. He was really, really good at it. And I think the morning line odds maker that we have, and I don't want to even point out names, even if I know it. And I don't know it, but the odds maker right now is not doing a great job. There's a lot of horses that are 10 to 1 in the morning line that really should be 5 to 2 and 3 to 1. And I think I realized that today. So we're struggling with the odds maker and we're struggling with these bet downs. At least we've got one of those problems solved. And again, I'm going to keep an eye on it. I think it's super, super important. And I'm going to keep my eye on it every week. And when we're back next week, I'll give everybody at least a little bit of an update.
Well, that'd be great, Steve. You watch these things like nobody else. You're like the eagle eye of this stuff.
Well, I'm watching every race. I have done pretty well in my life at this game, and it's really been a little bit by bit has been taken away. And this is something that I believe that if you're doing what I've been doing early in the meet, you're gonna struggle until you get that big hit, and it's tough to do. And by that I mean, Jay, what I've been really trying to do is play these $3 pick threes, which are great bets. And I like the pool. I like the amount. It does hurt some players and that they can't get the coverage. There's a lesser takeout. There's a lot of reasons that it's a plus. The late double. But you know what, Jay? These are hard things to hit all the time. And the one thing I like so much about the win pool is it's one pool that can constantly keep you going. And you've got to keep going in between the big scores. If you're not cashing at all in between the big scores, like if you're someone who's only playing to pick 5, you're only playing to pick 6, you're only playing superfectas, and you're not cashing a ticket the whole week, it just gets discouraging. Those are long run bets, folks. When you're playing those bets, you need to try to hit those. Hey, the pick 6, Jay, I was playing the pick 6 for years, and I got to a point where when I was about 30 years old, I said, if I can hit one of these a year, I'm going to be doing great. And there were a lot of years, Jay, that I didn't hit one. And then when I got to be about 40 some odd, I joined a syndicate and we were hitting a lot of pick 6s. But it was a total different amount that was being bet, and I was only getting a percentage of it. But it's very, very it's very difficult to take out a bet that you're cashing a lot, like the win pool, because you're afraid to bet it because you don't know what odds you're going to get. And that's kind of what had happened to me, Del Mar last year, Del Mar this year, and I really think this will help.
Yeah, absolutely. I just think people have lost a lot of confidence in the game. And like you say, if you bet a pick 5, it's a difficult bet. I mean, you've got to string 5 winners together, and hopefully you've got a single or two in there, or a race where you've narrowed them down to 2. But yeah, I mean, if you go out of that pick 5 early, it's like, then what do you have? You do need to have some regular bets in there to kind of keep you going and keep your bankroll building. You can't just depend on that one bet. So yeah, no question about it.
All right, Jay, we are going to go to Saratoga, and I did get the weather reports. The weather at Saratoga has been a little iffy. It looks like it's going to be very, very good tomorrow and especially Saturday. So ahead of time, now, I'm not saying this is 100%. I'm definitely not a weatherman, and the weather reports that I use at weather.com are not 100% reliable. But it looks like we're going to have good weather. We're going to break it down horse by horse, and then we'll come back and we're going to give you our top three. I'm going to pick it up with number 1, Mindframe, who's definitely a contender on this racetrack. He's tactical. Jay, we talked about how good this horse was going to be. And, the fact that Gomez is listed on this horse, he drew the rail, which I don't think is going to really hurt him. but it really looks to me like he's going to scratch. Would have certainly been a contender, might have even been my pick in this race, but I don't think he's going to run.
Steve, I'm not quite so sure about it, and the reason I say that is the jock of record in both cases was Arad Ortiz, and Arad has been riding White Abarrio forever, and he's just done so well with him. He's won the Breeders' Cup Classic, he's won the Pegasus, he won the Whitney back in 23 on this horse. So this horse has been solid gold for Arad Ortiz, and if he had to pick one, it's understandable if he's picking the horse today as opposed to the horse that's going to be good for a couple of years.
Mm.
And these the way they go to the breeder shed, who knows? But I can see that Arad might make that choice. On the other hand, you would think that there'd be a higher profile rider that would want Mindframe than Gomez, if Arad did make that choice. So the chances of being scratched, Steve, you're right, they're probably better than 50%. That said, if Mindframe does go, he has really fit this distance well. Had a decent race over Saratoga in the Belmont last year. He made the lead and almost held on at the end and faded late to Dornoch. And then I just think Mindframe is just a horse that's really, really going forward and is at prime right now. Whereby the Breeders' Cup, I think White Abarrio might be past his prime if he's not already.
Yeah.
Uh, so yeah, I think Mindframe will be a serious contender in here if he goes, but like you say, might not happen.
All right.
And
We're
I
going to go
guess,
to two, and I'm going to kick it off to you.
yeah,
Skippy Stocking came out here, and I know you really liked him in the Gold Cup, Jay. What about taking on these foes at the Whitney, shipping back here to Saratoga?
Steve, I don't think Skippy Longstocking really has a shot here to win this race. I just think he's outclassed. However, I think he's in peak form right now. That 108 speed figure, the Briss figure, is his career best. So chances are he's going to retreat a few points from that, bounce a little bit. But at the same time, I think he's going to be in the ballpark. He's obviously in stellar form. And at 10 to 1, this guy's going to be on my trifecta ticket. I don't know if he's one of the best three. If mine frames out, that certainly helps him be in the pick three. And I think Skippy Longstocking figures for a piece of this puzzle anyway.
You know, on sheets, this horse ran on 4 races back, ran 6. Then he ran a 5, 3 races back. He bounced to a 9 in that race at Oaklawn Park, where he obviously wasn't pursued down the stretch in a 7 length loss. And he came back at Santa Anita and he ran a 6 there. And the horse that he beat there, Midnight Mammoth, is really, really a trier for Craig DeLassy. I don't hate this horse. He's not going to be in my top 3 in this race. But Skippy Longstocking for me is on the fringe. Wouldn't shock me. I'm going to pass on Skippy Longstocking. All right, Jay, I'll take it over with Highland Falls. Highland Falls is a 6-time winner and 11 starts, and he's from the Brad Cox barn. He has run a 6 before and has a really good looking sheet. He came back off a layoff. He's a 5-year-old. He's a little bit older here. And maybe his best race is with Lasix. That would be my one issue with me. Luis Saez rides this horse for Brad Cox. He's another horse I'm going to pass on that wouldn't surprise me. Highland Falls, what's your take on him?
Yeah, this field is just so tough. I mean, this is a grade one winner. He won the Jockey Club Gold Club and won it handily. So this horse is nothing to sneeze at. However, it just feels like he's overmatched here, and I just don't think when you look at how badly he was beaten in the Breeders' Cup by two of these competitors, Sierra Leone and Fierceness. I think even a minor award is going to be a stretch for Highland Falls.
I agree. I agree.
And I guess and talking about long shots, I guess I draw Mama's Gold here. Okay, 50 to 1 horses, they win these races all the time. Um, Mama's Gold obviously is a pace factor. In the last 5 races, has been in the front at the first call, at the second call, and then started to fade at the top of the stretch against much easier. Obviously, if you're contending for the pace, you don't want to see Mama's Gold in this race. If you're Fierceness, if you're Mindframe, if you're somebody that's going to keep the pace, the last thing you want is this pest, just kind of hounding you on the lead and maybe taking something out of you. Yeah, I think Mama's Gold's going to run to those 50 to 1 odds.
No, you got this horse nailed, Jay, because he's early pace number is a 96. It is the fastest early pace number in the race. Um, so he'll be on the lead or be second at the very, very least. I did text my friend Jonathan Hardoon. He's a longtime Los Angeles handicapper and a fabulous handicapper at that. And I did text him, and he told me if we run, I wished him good luck, and he said, good luck if we run. So they're not sure if they're going to run. That would definitely take out some of the pace. This horse has cracked 10 a couple of times, but most of the races he's run are right around the 10 mark, and there are just faster horses in here. So I'm going to have to pass on Mama's Gold, but good luck to my friend there. I'll take over here with Sierra Leone. My knock on Sierra Leone is that he is a late runner, and another big race here. I don't see a whole lot of speed, and that is what's been getting this horse beat. When this horse wins, he has the pace to chase, Jay. 2 to 1. This is definitely a go against for me. And if I have to use this horse in the try with the horse that I want to key, it probably becomes an unbettable race again for me. But Sierra Leone is a horse that I will try to beat.
Steve, and you managed to do that last time. You knocked him off with Mindframe the last time we were doing one of these races. And just like that race, just like the Stephen Foster, that was a mile and an eighth. My theory is that once these horses get going to a mile and a quarter, which I think is Sierra Leone's best distance, they kind of get used to it. They don't want to, hold themselves back at a mile and an eighth. He's gotten better under Pratt as far as getting going a little early, but he's never going to be anything like a pace presser. At best, he's a little better presser than a sustained closer. And I just think at a mile and an eighth, he has not won at a mile and an eighth since the Bluegrass back last April. I just think he wants a mile and a quarter at this stage of his career, and he's not going to get it today. I think he'll need some kind of a pace setup, if not Mama's Gold, somebody else to knock some heads to set it up for him. If he doesn't, if somebody gets any kind of a comfortable lead with breathing room, I think he's up against it.
Jay, all you got to do is look at the half for this horse. Look at what the numbers are in the half for this horse. The race that this horse won at Del Mar, they went 44 and 4 to the half. Every single other one of his races are over 47 that he's lost. I mean, I think really that's the magical number for him. At 46 and 3 in the Derby, he got beat a nose. At 46 and 2 in the Bluegrass, he won. And if you every single other race, it's been 47 or above, and he's been struggling. And he's 2 to 1 in the morning line. It's it's Chad Brown and Flavian Pratt, and they're fantastic together. But I just think that this is the horse that you got to try to beat in here, because at that short of a price, even in the exotics, I think he's a go against.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know that I think he's going to be hard to keep off the board, Steve. But the problem is, if he gets in and then Fierceness or Mindframe also finish on top, your exotics pay peanuts. So it's the kind of horse you want to beat, whether you can or not. You want to look for an angle where you might be able to knock him out of the top three.
Yeah,
But a horse that's not going to do that is number 6, Disarm. Disarm, ridden by Joel Rosario, off to a fine start this meet. Last win was an optional $80,000 claimer. All the graded stakes races have been third, fourth recently. There was a sixth in the Stephen Foster last year. Basically, this guy's a high price claimer, and he'll be probably fighting with Mama's Gold to see who circles the drain first.
yeah. I think it's it's an interesting sheet here too. His horse has actually been very consistent throughout his career. He's only got one number less than 10, and you got horses like Sierra Leone running threes, fours, and fives every time. Just a much faster horse. He gets 4 pounds, but this arm's a pass for me, Jay.
For sure.
All right, White Abarrio. Maybe White Abarrio laid an egg in the slop. That's the one thing I can't figure. A terrific race in the Gulfstream race in the Ghost Sapper. He ran a 4. And in the Gulfstream Park race before that, and these are Ragusan numbers, he ran a 1. This horse has actually run 2 races that are faster than any race that Sierra Leone's ever won in his career and any race that Fierceness has ever run in his career. So that's an interesting factor. But he's 6 years old now, Jay, and I got to think that this horse has perhaps lost a little bit. Maybe it was the slop last time, and he could bounce back in here. But 4-1 is too short for me again, and this would be a horse I would try to beat on the winning.
Yeah, Steve, I mean, I look at it and yeah, it was such a big drop off from the Go Zapper to the Met Mile. So, yeah, I do think you're right that slop could be a factor here. And one thing what might upgrade him a little bit will be if Mindframe actually goes. If Mindframe actually goes, then I'm going to think, okay, Arad had a tough choice to make, and he picked White Abarrio over an up and comer that he's going to likely have for a much longer time to ride. And I don't know if Pletcher's going to give it back to him. Yeah, it's Pletcher and Ortiz, probably will. I probably said, okay, I understand. Go ahead and ride your Breeders' Cup Classic horse. I'm good with it. But yeah, if the slop was the biggest distraction here, White Barrio could move up and certainly could be a factor here. Will definitely be a factor if Mindframe doesn't go. And Steve, it looks like fates have given me yet another 50 to 1 horse to talk about, and that's number 8 Contrary Thinking. But this one is not one that I'm going to immediately throw out of all chances. This one just broke his non-winners of one condition allowance, but did it with a big, brisk 97 number. And I just think that, unlike the others, this one's an up-and-comer. This one actually, even though this one's 5, obviously he's had a few injury problems along the way, so he hasn't had a huge career, only a couple of races a year. But this one's still developing. I don't see him developing today in the Whitney against Fierceness and Sierra Leone, but could this one perhaps crack the superfecta at a shockingly high price? I wouldn't completely put it past Chad Brown and Dylan Davis.
Well, 2 things about this horse. One is that he is very lightly raced because he's a 5-year-old and he didn't really start until 2024. So because he started so late, you can project this horse to still be improving at 5. So I like what you said there. I think it's a very, very good angle that a lot of people miss. If I see a 5-year-old, Jay, if that 5-year-old started in his 2-year-old career and it's his 4th year of racing, they're generally not going to run any better than their top, and there's just not really room for improvement after they've had 3 years of racing.
Yeah.
If you see them start as a 3 or a 4, there is still room for improvement. So in that particular case, I give you kudos, and I do agree that this horse can still improve, and he has run 10 already, and there is room for him to go forward 3 or 4 points. That being said, to me, Contrary Thinking is in there because Chad Brown has another horse that's really dependent. So if you're really looking at this race and you see in Chad Brown with another horse in here, to me, this horse is in here to really go fast to hurt the chances of the horse that's next to him in Fierceness, who is Sierra Leone's main rival, and set up the pace for Sierra Leone. I don't like Contrary Thinking, but I do think that this horse could be a pace factor.
Yeah, I just think this is the kind of race that Chad Brown will use as a conditioner, knowing that really he doesn't have a chance to win this, but going against this competition could leg him up nicely for maybe an overnight stakes or something next time around. And speaking of fierceness, Steve,
Well, I thought he ran great last time, and he's really run every other time has been his really terrific race. He's the horse that's going to be in the right spot to really make a run at the win. There's a price horse that I like in this race. We haven't gotten to him yet, and there's only 10 horses, so you know pretty easily who it's going to be. But that being said, I think Fierceness is clearly the horse to beat. I think the race sets up for him. Maybe Contrary Thinking can throw a wrench in the mix for him, but I think he comes out and runs his A race today. I really thought there was a chance he could get beat last time. It wasn't necessarily his distance, and this is certainly his distance to me because I'm still not sure that this guy's a 1.25 mile horse, especially with pressure. But if you go back and you look at that Breeders' Cup Classic, man, oh man, did he run good. That was a 14 horse field. They went sub 45 and he hung in there extremely well. And then he came out and he ran great in that Alley Sheba. So I think he'll bounce back. He's had a lot of every other times in his career, and there's no reason Fierceness shouldn't run good. I think he's one of the ones to beat.
Yeah, no question about that. Yeah, he's not necessarily a mile and a quarter is probably not what you see in the dictionary next to his picture. However, one thing we can say is he's a mile and a quarter horse here, winning the Travers last year with a big figure. So he can definitely get a mile and a quarter over this speed favoring track, which caters to his speed over other tracks like, say, Churchill Downs, not so much. So, yeah, Fierceness obviously loves Saratoga and big, big, big shot in here.
Right, and this is only a mile and an eighth, right? So this isn't that 1.25 miles. So that shorter distance should help him.
No question. And I guess we're going to talk about that price horse you mentioned, and that's number 10, Post Time. Post Time has been doing most of his racing at Laurel under the, yeah, and for people that don't know them, Brittany Russell and Sheldon Russell, quite a team. They dominate over at Laurel. And this one obviously has had some dominating races, including a 13 length win, three back with a big speed figure. Nice run off the pace in the grade three blame and coming back in the deputed testimony, an ungraded stakes at this very distance and winning. Post time is certainly no slouch. And depending on who finally makes up the composition of this race, this runner up from the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile last year is certainly somebody to take a look at.
Yeah, this was a horse that everybody, all the sheep guys loved this horse coming into the Breeders' Cup last year. And I tell you what, he did not disappoint. I thought he ran a terrific race. Full Serrano was amazing in that race. And I give Full Serrano full credit for winning that race because this horse ran his eyeballs out. He was second best in that race. And I think he's a little under the radar in here. I'm not in love with the outside post at this distance. And, I'm not sure that Sheldon Russell has won too many graded stakes at this racetrack. But this is a quality horse. And if he's a big number, I'm going to give him a shot, Jay.
Yeah, no question about it.
All right. So we're going to wrap it up, Jay. Why don't you go give us your 1, 2, 3 in the race in order, starting from third to first.
Okay, you want all three of mine now?
We can go one at a time, but yeah, let's go ahead and go all 1, 2, 3.
Okay. Well, let's start with number three, and that's going to be number two, Skippy Longstocking, coming off that big career best bris figure, nice win in the Santa Anita Gold Cup, and two races back behind that in a grade three at Tampa Bay. I just think this one is in prime shape. Jose Ortiz is just really kicking butt, and Safi Joseph, who starts a couple in here. Certainly, this one has a chance to be a piece of the picture, especially if Mindframe scratches. So my third horse is number two, Skippy Longstocking.
Okay.
Uh, Moving on to my second horse, and with Mindframe out, I'm going to throw him out of the picture. And I'm not going to pick White Abarrio, even though he can improve off that effort, because I've just never been a fan. Even though Arad Ortiz is riding him, and certainly Arad had motive. That's the other Safi Joseph horse. I am instead going in the two horse spot, and I'd love to beat him, but I just don't think I will. Sierra Leone is somebody that, even though he's not winning a lot of these mile and eighth races, he's been in the picture every one. Steve, this one's been in the trifecta, all 10 of his races showing, and I don't remember the maiden race, the first one, but yeah, well, let's see. I mean, that was a maiden race, and he's run 11 races, so I'm assuming he won at first asking. I don't remember anymore. I think he did. So never been off the board, and has only been as bad as third. Let's see, three times. So eight times he's been in the exacta. I don't like his chances as much at a mile and an eighth. I just think it leaves him too much to do. And like you say, he is dependent on a pace setup. If he gets it, though, look out. He can win at a mile and an eighth if he gets the pace
Yeah.
setup.
Yeah, he could. He
Yeah.
could he could win it.
Yeah.
No
So
doubt
Sierra,
about it.
Sierra Leone is my number two, but my number one horse, and it's not close for me, is number nine, Fierceness. I do think that Fierceness is obviously he's the ultimate horse for course here. 3 for 4 and a second. He's also perfect at the distance. 2 for 2. Mile and an eighth is just his sweet spot. A mile was too short. You saw what happened last time. I think you picked Raging Torrent to upset him in the Mile, didn't you?
I did, but it was a very different circumstance, and you got to realize, Jay, that that's a race that you can get in front of a horse and really be a true speed horse. You know, Raging Torrent's a 6.5, 7 furlong horse, and I just believe that he was able to get out in front on a different racetrack, and it's a different story here. I mean, Fierceness is going to have a very very good pace scenario in here today.
Yeah, no question about it. I just think a mile in general is a little short for Fierceness. You saw what happened last time in the Champagne that he ran a mile up the track. Of course, Fierceness has always been a little bit of a head case. He wasn't that bad at a mile, but still, that's not his distance. And a mile and a quarter, we've talked about, it's not his ideal, even though, as I mentioned, he can get a mile and a quarter over this track if he had to. But a mile and an eighth, that just hits him right between the eyes. I'd love to see Fierceness, and he probably won't because he's an East Coast horse. But that $1 million mile and eighth race that Santa Anita just started up would just be perfect for Fierceness. I'd love to see him in that, have him come out, get acclimated again with California and prep for the Breeders' Cup. I doubt we'll see it, but we are going to see him today. And Fierceness is my number one pick. It's not close. I am even considering, I don't know if I'm going to do it, but I'm considering singling Fierceness in my horizontal exotics.
That's not a bad wager. And I'll tell you what, I'm very similar to what you have. And I'm going to go with Sierra Leone in third. And why not put him second or third? That seems to be this distance is just a little bit short for him. I'm in total agreement with you. I just don't think there's enough pace for him, but I still think he fires. I'm putting Fierceness second only because I want to play a little bit of a price in here. I do agree with you, Jay. He's the most likely winner. And if you're going to single there, I certainly don't blame you at all. And on in first place, I'm going to go with post time. I think I could get 15 or 20 to 1. I would probably need at least the 12 that's listed there on the morning line. And again, if this guy can come back and run that Breeders' Cup race, I like the way he ran that big top at Laurel in the first race, 3 back on the sheets, and then he has regressed a little bit since then. He's had a couple of 7s on rag numbers, and if he can come back to that 4, he's going to have a shot at a big price. So we're going to go post time and a little bit of an upset. Fierceness is the most likely winner, and the third horse is the ever consistent Sierra Leone.
Excellent. Steve, I mean, you're going to light up the tote board with that one. Hey, Steve, while we're at Saratoga, you mind if I talk a little about the jocks and trainers real quick?
No, please do, Jay.
All right. So I wanted to mention the Ortiz boys, Arad and Jose, have just been tearing it up. Arad, as usual, is in first place with 29 wins. Jose's got 23, and they're by far the biggest money earners in the field. $2 million so far over just the beginning of this meet, and $1.8 million for Jose. So they're far and away the leaders here. So 29 and 23, and then round out the top five. You have Ricardo Santana having a big meet with 16, riding quite a bit for Steve Asmussen and others. Joel Rosario off to a strong start with 12. Luis Saez and Kendrick Carmouche tied with 11. I've always said Luis is a top five jock in the country. One jock that you don't see until the seventh spot is Flavian Pratt. Flavian has been splitting his time between New York and a little bit in LA and a little bit in the Midwest. This is still his primary track in the summer, but Flavian so far only has 10 wins, but he only has 83 starts, so Irad has 107. So, but nevertheless, Flavian's a little behind in wins, but in terms of money earned, Flavian at 1.3 million is third in the jockey colony here. So Flavian is certainly still a money rider, even if he hasn't been really doing it on volume. I also wanted to mention for years, Arad Ortiz has just been so good that he's been the top first call rider not only for Todd Pletcher but for Chad Brown. But in recent years, I'd say in the last year or so, Chad has been using Flavian as his first call rider because Flavian will basically always give him that call unless it's an extraordinary horse from another barn. Where Arad is like, I got to go where it's best for me. It might be Todd, it might be you, it might be Safi Joseph. And I think Chad just wanted somebody he can count on. So at this point, you will see Flavian on the bulk of Chad's races. Also, Chad is primarily a turf trainer, where Todd Pletcher trains for both turf and dirt. And you'll see, Flavian, of course, while he can handle both surfaces equally well at this point, he'll always be primarily a turf rider. He's arguably the best turf rider in America, so it's understandable why Chad would migrate to Flavian as his first call rider. In terms of the trainers, it's a close race between Todd Pletcher and Chad Brown. 13 wins and 11 wins, and Linda Rice is right there with 11 as well. But in terms of earnings, Chad has an edge over Todd, 1.35 million versus 900,000 for Todd, and a close third, even though he doesn't record a lot of wins, is Bill Mott. Bill Mott is third with a strong 780,000 from only 38 starts, where Chad Brown has 57 starts. So if you want to look for, in my opinion, the ultimate money combination, riders who might not win every race or trainers might not win every race, but they're there when the big dollars count, look for those rare occasions when you see a Bill Mott, Flavian Pratt combination.
Yeah, that is a combination that always strikes me as being dangerous. A couple of things to comment on. Jose and Irad are just riding out of their mind, and they've actually been riding price horses in some of these races. It's not all chalk. Those two guys are clearly moved to the top of the class in their riding. And Flavian, you can give him a little bit of credit as to where he's at, because he did come out here a couple of days, and he's shipped out a couple of times, but his percentage is barely half of what those two are winning at. So you really got to give the Ortiz brothers credit. They are absolutely riding extremely well.
Yeah, absolutely, Steve.
All right, I just wanted to. Did you have anything else you wanted to say about Saratoga?
Nope, that wraps it up.
Okay, excellent, Jay. Uh, I did want to mention a little bit about our sponsor. Casino House Parties at casinohouseparties.com. They have stuck with us through thick and thin. And folks, if you want to have a great party at your house, please go online, casinohouseparties.com, give them a call. And if you use the code SaddleUp50, you'll get $50 off your first gig with them. They're really, really nice people. Blackjack, craps, roulette, you name it, they've got it. Even games like Let It Ride, they have it. Pai Gow, if you're interested in that, just give them a call and go to casinohouseparties.com, and they will certainly take care of you. And don't forget that code, SaddleUp50, to get $50 off of your first gig. Jay, we had a couple races that we wanted to talk about. Del Mar, I just want to say, turf course has been very fair. Speed's been actually doing pretty good. What I will say is that the main track has, I think there's an advantage for outside almost every day. If I had to go in between, I'm not saying you can't. The 5 furlong races are always the maiden races, and that's where we've seen a couple horses win from the rail. And if you remember right, and I did mention that in the seminar we did before Del Mar, the best post position always seems to end up being the number 1 post in the route races. But I don't necessarily think that's the right position. And most of the time that one horse will show some speed. So be aware. I think if you're in general, if you're in between, and there were a lot of prices on that main track today, a lot of those horses were numbers 11, 10, big numbers out there. Those horses in those outside paths, there's a little bit of a slope at Del Mar. Maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe it's a little deeper. Those horses on the slope, I mean, they're coming from the outside, coming downhill to the end. And that could be part of the advantage. But right now, we're seeing a little bit of an advantage on the outside, especially in those elongated sprint races. And I mean 6 furlongs, 6.5, and 7. I'd sure rather not be in 1 and 2 if I can help it. Now we've had a couple 1s and 2s win, and they're generally better horses. But when you're looking for a price horse, they're going to do much better on the outside than they will on the inside.
Steve, I'm curious. You say you only noticed a couple winning inside. Have those been horses with early speed that have been popping the gate and making the lead?
Now they've been really good maidens, Jay.
Yeah.
Those have been the ones that have been winning. So yeah, that's a really good question. But the ones that won from the rail so far, and one race was all first time starters where the rail won in sprint, but not necessarily speed. They've just been able to overcome.
Yeah, Steve, one thing I wanted to mention, I was watching the statistics from the fall meet last year, and I had mentioned on the Del Mar show that at 6 furlongs, the early speed horses, the ones with early luck, have won at 63% at 6 furlongs last year. One thing I've noticed this year, and so far Brisnet only has 9 races in the books at 6 furlongs, but slight change. It's only 22% early speed and some 50 something percent early pressers, which are the ones right off. That might be a little too soon with only 9 races to say that it's shifted a little bit, or do you think maybe there's a trend that's building there?
That's a great question, Jay. I think if you go back to that show that we talked about, where I talked about sprints, where you have those horses that are running into contention into the turn. I do think there has been a little bit of a shift in the track. Maybe they're paying close attention to it. Again, with the inside not being as good, maybe that's hurting the speed a little bit. Speed horses have still held their own. They're still winning. You're still looking for the best horse. But if you're looking for a price horses that are closing down on the inside, they're going to always struggle at Del Mar a little bit. And I think right now, in particular, it's a little bit better to be outside. Maybe that'll help somebody. Maybe it'll help you get one horse in the pick 3 or pick 4, but that could be a big deal to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
One horse can always make a difference. Jay, you wanted to talk about a couple of these races at Saratoga on Saturday.
One at Saratoga and one at Del Mar. So yeah, let's go east to west, and we will start at Saratoga. And the horse I like, we're going to look at the race after the Whitney. So hopefully you've made some big dollars on that one, and you'll have a little money to sink into the 12th because the one I like is number 2, Perfect Figure. This is a horse from the Wesley Ward barn, and I look at the other contenders in the race, and basically the best horses are probably on the also eligible list and probably won't get in. Caribbean Wind, Chatter, Sarir, those are all if you look at the horses in the main draw of the race, the favorite out of those horses that are more likely to run is number 3, La Salvadorina, with Flavian Proud aboard. And this one's had a couple of decent allowance races over the last couple, still trying to get his first allowance win or her first allowance win and trying to get it here. But when I look at right inside, number 2, Perfect Figure from the Wesley Ward barn, this one had a big race back in November in the Stewart Manor, ran a big 91 bris against better competition, and then took a long winter break, and then came back with 2 races at Churchill where the figures didn't quite approach, an 82 and 83, but normally the third race off is a horse's best, and this one's had another little freshening, and Wesley Ward is, excuse me, just phenomenal wherever he trains. You also got Frankie Dettori on this one. And when do you ever see 10 to 1 on a Wesley Ward, Steve? Almost never. So
Hmm.
Perfect Figure, I think, is excuse me, a steal here. And I like Perfect Figure to pull the upset on this field, assuming that maybe a couple of those also eligibles don't get in the race. And when it's a 10 to 1 in a big field like this, I can't resist wheeling the exact to Steve. So it's 2 with all and all with 2, and a nice win and a nice place bet on number 2, Perfect Figure. And now I can have a little more water.
All right. Well, all right. That's a nice price horse, Jay. Good luck with that one. I just want to mention a couple of other races because there are some huge races there this weekend. And one that I want to mention is the 4-star Dave. Very, very partial always to Johannes. as this has been the West Coast, certainly the West Coast best miler last year. The fact that they're bringing him back here instead of being the defending champ in the Eddie Reed, which he won last year, I think they want to get a little bit more competition into him. It is his first start as a 5-year-old, a little bit tougher for me. That is a big deal to me when a horse comes off this type of a layoff and they're 5 versus 4. But certainly is a contender. And I want to mention a couple other horses in here. And there's 2 of them in particular. And one is the 4-horse Think Big. Now Think Big really looked like he was going to be one of the better sprinters in the country, and didn't handle the track at Saratoga against AG Bullet 2 races back. But he has an incredible kick. And I thought last time out that he would lose that kick going a mile, but he really showed it. And that was really the first time he had run a mile. I'd keep an eye on this horse, if not for this day, maybe for down the future, because I think Big is a really, really nice horse. And whether they end up cutting him back or not, I still think this horse is worthwhile to keep an eye on for Breeders' Cup because he really has a nice kick. And Michael Stidham is a terrific, terrific trainer. The other horse I would look at is a horse named Win for the Money. And I gave out Win for the Money in the race that Think Big won. What I didn't like about what Dylan Davis did there was he went very, very wide throughout and lost a lot of ground. He actually ran a faster number than Think Big did, even though he finished 2 1/4 lengths behind. If Dylan Davis can find a way to save a little bit of ground in here, he's 8-1 in the morning line. He could be the upsetter. So I would look at Think Big and Win for the Money, if not for today, down the road. And then there was one other race I wanted to take a look at, and that's the Test Stakes. Jay, this is a heck of a race, top to bottom. I just wanted to say that Baffert's horse in here, Cash Call, really, really looked great in her last 2 races out here. I had her in stable mail. I didn't write down the numbers for this race, and I haven't really looked over the rest of the field, so I don't want to give you the total push on this. But I was very, very excited about watching her last 2 races, and I think she has a future here, as obviously she does. She's won her last 3 races, but I really think that she's a fit anywhere she goes. So take a look at Cash Call and add that to the mix in the Test Stakes at Saratoga. Jay, do you want to pick up your race here at Del Mar? Your race was what number?
Oh, that was race 11, Steve, and sure, let's go to that.
All right, so this is the Del Mar's 11th race on Saturday.
It is, yes.
Okay.
And we're going to try and knock off, as usual, the favorites here. Number 9, when it's a 7-2 favorite, the lines maker doesn't really know what to do with it. Mining District is moving to the turf after basically a career on dirt. Has had 2 shots at the turf, only 1 still on the board. That 77 speed figure won't get it done. I don't think Mining District should be the 7-2 favorite or even close to it. And I think that's a bad call by the line maker. Um, Miles Finch, the 12 horse, certainly has a better shot, being a little more of a turf horse, but that far outside post is not going to really help. Those 81s are okay. They're competitive here, but the one I really like is number 2, Prince of Del Mar, 20-1 on the morning line. Prince of Del Mar ran a couple of big turf races this spring over at Santa Anita. Nice $50,000 optional claimer, and then ran in the Snow Chief and did pretty well. Only 2 3/4 length win off the pace in the Snow Chief. Then went back to the dirt at Los Alamitos, where he regressed. He doesn't seem to be nearly the dirt horse that he is as a turf horse. I just think with a really hungry rider in Armando Ayuso Award, I know that's a rider you like, and Andy Mathis has always had really strong Del Mars. When he's come down here, more so than Santa Anita, Andy Mathis has really been a trainer for the course, and he's 3 for 6 in the money, still hunting for his first win. I think he's got a shot at it today. The other horse that I like in a package with him is number 5, Kanani, who has 2 slightly faster speed figures in 85 and 86. Form went a little bit off last time at the race at Santa Anita, but pretty close to Brazenly in the one before. And I think Brazenly, if he draws in, might well be the favorite here. Brazenly has some really killer figures here. So we'll use Brazenly on a saver ticket if we do. But Steve, the main ticket here, we're going to combine number two, Prince of Delmar at 21, and number five, Kanani at 12 to 1. We're going to play a 2-5 with 2-5 with all. We're going to play a 2-5 with all with 2-5. And then we're going to play a small saver on the bottom. And we're going to use in the saver, we're going to use number 9 Mining District. I don't like him, but he's 7 to 2 and he has Barrio, so I'm going to throw him on the saver. We'll use number 11 Chrome Flash. We'll use number 12 Miles Finch, who I mentioned, and we'll use the big figure horse who's stuck on the also eligible list, number 13 Brazenly. Dangerous if he gets in. So it's a 9, 11, 12, 13 with 2-5, with 2-5 as a cheap saver that could pay quite a bit if it comes in.
Well, your connections are right on there. I mean, Yuso did get a nice winner today at a price, and he is still a very, very good and dangerous rider on that turf course. And your trainer is certainly one of the best. I liked him a couple times today, and both horses just never got positioned in the race. But he's going to break through. I remember years back when Ron Ellis was really at his peak, and he was in his early 30s. And I walked down to the paddock at Del Mar, and he was 0 for 4 for the meet. And a couple of people were standing there next to me, and the horse's name was actually Charging Raj. I can't believe I remember that, but I was so excited about this horse running that day. And the people said, gosh, I'd really like this horse, but he's 0 for 4. This trainer's 0 for 4. And I thought, do you really think that? I really wanted to say something, Jay. Is that a big enough sample? And I think you're hitting the nail on the head with Andy Mathis. It just sort of reminded me of that. He is a great Del Mar trainer. And when you see him at this kind of a price, and the other thing I like about your horse, Jay, is when these price horses win at Del Mar on the turf, they usually save ground. The rails aren't going to be on all that far. And this horse is going to be able to save ground. And you got one of those 4 Del Mar riders that I was mentioning in the USO. So lots to like about your 20 to 1 at Del Mar.
Yeah, Steve, you've got a Del Mar pick for us too?
I do, Jay, and it's in a sprint race. It's in the 8th race, and it's a field of 7 in here. Tell you what, I was incredibly impressed with the race that this number 2 horse Grubauer ran last time. And for those of you who followed Santa Anita, I don't think it was close who the claimer of the meet was. It was a horse named Wound Up. And Wound Up kept winning races by 7 and 8 and 9 lengths. And I think he won 5 races before facing Grubauer last time. Grubauer had won a couple races at Pleasanton, a couple races at Santa Anita, and I really thought he had no shot against Wound Up. And I'll tell you what, if they went another 5 yards, he would have beat Wound Up in that race. They both ran great all the way to the wire. I like the fact that he's had time since. He's got a nice string of works. They had a big work at Santa Anita 3 back on July the 10th, and then a couple of maintenance drills at Del Mar. And I think Grubauer is actually going to get a good trip. You know, Jay, I'm always talking about the outside. This horse is in the 2 hole, but I do like the trip this horse is going to get because the horse 2 is outside. Tapatio Leo is so fast. I think he's going to clear him. And I think this horse will end up tracking and then getting to the outside. So I think this horse is going to be okay trip wise. 9 to 2, I'm going to take on this horse. I'm going to use 3 horses in the exotics with him. I think Tapatio Leo is not as good as he was, but he's putting blinkers on and he's such a fast horse. I'm going to throw him in. But Southern Gentleman, the 1 for Baffert, and the 5 horse Awesome Rhythm 6 to 1. Those are 2 very sharp horses, and they look like the ones to beat. So I'll play the 2 Grubauer to win, and I'll play him first and second in the try with 1, 3, and 5 in race 8 out at Del Mar. It's the 2 Grubauer.
Steve, one thing I like about Grubauer is he likes the lead, but he doesn't need the lead to win. You saw that race at Pleasanton where he sat back, let the speed kill each other off, and just made a big move around the second turn and just swept by him. In the last race, he pressed the pace every step, nearly got there. Asel Espinoza, Victor's nephew, is a very underrated rider. And, even though he's only 0 for 12 with place and a show this meet so far, he's better than that. I'm looking for Osceola to pick up a few wins. Maybe this will be the first.
Well, it's real hard here because you're not getting that many chances. He's still not, he still hasn't paid his dues yet. He's on the way. but he's not quite there yet, as maybe not even in the top 10, Jay. But he's capable, and I think he'll ride this horse well. He's certainly ridden this horse well the last 3 or 4 times, and he's ridden this horse a lot of times. So I'm not concerned with the rider. I think that'll help keep the price up, as I'm always trying to do. And I think if we can get 9-2 or above, I think it's a good play today in the on Saturday in the eighth race on Grubauer.
Yeah, Steve, by the way, I want to just give you some minor kudos here. Nothing fancy, but I just wanted to point out that you mentioned in the underneath picks in one of the races last week, Lovesick Blues. And I didn't use Lovesick Blues in my top picks. And boy, did he surprise me. I mean, if people just followed your advice and played him even to place, it was not only a $14 place ticket, but he actually popped up and won. I didn't really give him much of a chance to win, and he paid 39 bucks. So nice call, even if you just played him like in the exotics.
Well, I didn't play him, and I didn't bet him myself, so I can't really take credit for it. What I will say that was really, really sad was that he was 38-1 when the gate opened. And maybe Lovesick Blues opened the eyes a little bit because there was another horse earlier in the day that the same thing happened. And I just want to say, I mean, Jay, we both done it. We both bet horses at prices, and they ended up being half the price when they crossed the line. And I will tell you what an experience that is. It's terrible. I'm hoping that Del Mar took the right step, and I'm hoping that this horse, Lovesick Blues, can be the one that keeps this from happening again and gives the people a choice of what they want to play where you can know the price. Jay, when you bet a football game, they tell you here, minus 110, you're laying 7 points. They don't open the gate and go, you know what? We're only going to give you 3 points. We're sorry, but we're only giving you 3 points. And by the way, it's minus 140 instead of 110. I mean, it's just silly. If we're trying to fight for customers, we are fighting against the lottery. We're fighting against the slot machine people. We're fighting against the people playing sports. And I just think we got to give a fair shake. And this horse just wasn't a fair shake.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And while I didn't do much at Del Mar myself, a little jealous of that. Fortunately, Saratoga kept me paid a little bit.
Yes, sir, Jay. You did have some nice winners at Saratoga. In fact, you've been hitting some double-digit price horses there. You had Daisy Flyer, 1640, and you had a nice exacta with Hedge. And Jay, you also had the trifecta, and the printout that I printed out here did not have the payout for you. You also had Tarantino keyed and a small trifecta that returned $58. So you did have some scores. $58 with a short price horse winning is certainly nothing to sneeze at, Jay. And listen, we'll get it going. I didn't have my best day again today. I started out with a winner in the first race today, and it was tough sledding. But I will say this: I'm going to make an adjustment, and I really been falling for this morning line, and I've got to start asking myself a question. And I think this is really going to help me do better than what I have done the first few days of this meet. But you got to ask yourself what the morning line is going to be, because I gave out a race today. The horse was 10-1 in the morning line. And if you thought this horse was going to go off at 10-1 and you didn't pick him and you're a handicapper that's doing selections, I don't know how much you're paying attention. But the horse opened at 6-5 and never got off of that price. It ran third. That wasn't the point. The point is that this horse had a lot of advantages and a lot of pluses that made him look like a terrific 10-1 shot. But he went off at 6-5. In hindsight, I think this horse maybe should have been about 7-2 in the morning line, and I might have looked elsewhere. And in fact, I might have liked the winner. So you're really going to have to pay attention right now, because I don't think we're getting the best of what the morning lines should be. So I'm going to start paying less attention to them, and I think that would be good advice to most of our fans.
Yeah, Steve, just because of the timing of it, because we do this show on Thursday nights because we want to give people a chance. I've been doing my handicapping for Del Mar before the morning line comes out because I want to be ready for the show. So then I'll generally, I'll add the morning line in as I normally do, and I post that on our picks, which are available each racing day at racingjason.com, as they always have been during the heyday of the Inside Racing show. But yeah, when I'm handicapping Del Mar, I'm doing it without the morning line. So it's actually, we're going to see how that, I've been doing that for the last 2 weeks, and we'll see if without that bias, maybe, I'm looking at that morning line too much and depending on it and trying to beat favorites. And right now for Del Mar, because of the timing, I'm just trying to find the best horse, and we'll see how it shakes out.
Yeah, I think that's a better way to do it right now because I just don't, I think you're gonna get sucked into thinking, well, I really like this horse. Why, how, this is a great price for this horse. But I think we were sort of on that train with John White for a while there where he was right. And he got to be right so much of the time that we rely on that odds maker to be right. And so that I think it's very important to know who's making your morning line. And maybe we should know the name, but in this case, we're kind of knocking who's ever doing it because whoever is doing it is not really getting close and is missing a lot of these by big, big, big margins. And I think it's got to be paid attention to when you're looking at these races. You got to pay attention. You can't fall for the 10 and 12 to 1 shots that are going to go off at 3 in every race.
Yeah, well, Steve, Jeff Siegel took over for John White at Santa Anita, and a quick Google search has told me that Jeff is also doing the morning line at Del Mar now.
Well, if that's the case, I did hear that somebody else was doing it, and I'm not sure that that's right, but I hope that, if that's right, I mean, he's really struggling. Whoever's doing it is really struggling. And I've known Jeff for a long time, and I don't want to knock him. But whoever's doing the morning line right now is not doing what I would call a great job like John White did. And it's not an easy thing to do. I'm not saying I could do better. What I am saying is that if you're out there and you're handicapping and you're making your picks based on what the morning line is, then you're going to struggle. And I am going to make that adjustment going forward. And not going to be, maybe I'll print it out before because I can get the printout beforehand too. Normally when I print out Brisnet, which is what I do for my racing form, as a huge part of my information, and I wait until the morning line is on there as well. But I think that what you're doing might be a thing that's a good thing to do right now because I don't think this guy's on, and you're giving out a 20 to 1 that you're confident in. Maybe this horse is going to be a giant price. Doesn't matter what the price is. You liked it before you saw the morning line, and that's saying something.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I saw with Prince of Del Mar.
Yeah,
But Steve, I didn't know you printed out all the Brisnet races ahead of time. Hey, maybe I can sell you some toner cartridge.
man, oh man, I go through a lot of cartridges, Jay. Boy,
I'll bet.
I go through a lot of cartridges. I bought in so many cartridges, and they said, "Sir, you can only give us 10 at a time." But I'm buying 2 or 3 at a time. Anyway, that's another story. But I do go through a lot of cartridges. I like to print up Saratoga every day. I've been printing up Monmouth every day, and now I'm printing up 3 tracks every day, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and obviously Thursday I'm just printing up the 2. But that's what I've been doing, and it's a lot of ink.
I'll bet. Steve, you're basically focusing this time of year pretty much just on Del Mar and Saratoga, right?
I've been following Monmouth because Monmouth is used in the tournaments, so I've really been keeping an eye on that. It's been, and again we played the big race at Monmouth. What was that, a couple weeks ago with journalism? So I have continued to follow that. It's really to attempt to get back to the NHC again, Jay, and I'm really in full force, in full mode to try to get into that and play my favorite summer meet here at Del Mar.
Yeah. Well, Steve, you've done it before. Steve, you were the 22nd ranked handicapper in the country last year at the NHC. Congratulations on that. But it's like, hey, what have you done for us this year?
Yeah, no doubt about it. It does, you start over and you start fresh. And I really waited for this time of year. And I've been playing pretty aggressively, and I have done very well in the Del Mar contest to get into the big contest, but I have not done extremely well in the big contest. In fact, tomorrow I'm probably not playing the big contest because unfortunately I had a service to go to tonight, and I feel like I'm a little bit behind on the handicapping. So I'm gonna give it a late night here tonight and get back into it tomorrow, and probably be working on Saturday tomorrow with a little bit of lost time. But I'll be back on the tournament on Saturday.
Excellent. And Steve, I just want to take a minute to promote our show next week, which I'll be hosting. Next weekend, we have the graduation stakes and the Grade 3 Best Pal at Del Mar, and bonus coverage of the big race of the week, the Grade 1 Arlington Million from Colonial Downs. Deterministic is listed in that one, but he's also listed tomorrow. So it'll be very interesting to see if Deterministic scratches out of the 4-star Dave to go in the Arlington Million. I mean, they're both nice purses, and we'll just see what Miguel Clement wants to do.
Well, I used to, before I got married, I was huge on playing Colonial. I loved the turf races there. Studied them a little bit because I thought the NHC was going to have Colonial turf races, but it turned out a couple weeks before I found out that they weren't going to run. They had that week that they ran at Colonial, and it was just dirt races, and they didn't have any turf races there. So I
Oh,
wasn't able to do that. In March, it was just
yeah.
too cold, I guess. I wasn't sure if they'd be ready to go or not, but I didn't find out until a couple weeks before. But still great racing down there at Colonial for those that want to play those races next week. And we'll certainly take a peek at some of those big races. But that is a fun track to play. I really enjoyed playing Colonial.
Yeah, Steve, I'll be surprised if they don't have some of the Colonial races at least next week in the tournaments, because you have the whole traditional Arlington Million card, including the Beverly D, including the Secretariat Stakes. I think you're going to see some of those races pop up in the tournament lineups.
Well, I will certainly look. I know they had it in the NHC, but horse tourneys is a little bit of a different animal, and they may not have it on horse tourneys. I'm not 100% sure. I don't remember if this time of the year last year that I was playing in as many tournaments as of yet, but I've been at it for about a year, and I don't know that they're going to have Colonial in there, even though it's part of the NHC. That doesn't mean that it's part of horse players and horse tourneys. But we'll see. It very well may be in one of the tournaments.
Excellent.
All right. Jay, any other thoughts?
No, no, I think we have covered it from pillar to post.
All right.
And post time will be coming before we know it, Steve. So we better get to bed and get our handicapping caps on first thing in the morning.
Yeah, we do. I still got a lot of capping to do tonight. So good day and good night, everybody. Thanks for listening to our show. And we'll be back with Jay hosting next week.
All right. Have a great weekend, everybody.